and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Feitman. Biesinger.
Present.
Boss.
Present.
Ekis.
Present.
Fry.
Present.
Gross.
Present.
Schroller.
Present.
Throm.
Present.
We have a quorum.
All right, and will you please read the call?
To Honorable Carla Grund, Mayor, City of Marysville. We, the undersigned council members of the City of Marysville.
They can't hear you.
Can you, is it, sounds like it's on.
It's on.
Project.
We, the undersigned council members of the City of Marysville, hereby respectfully request that you call a special council meeting of the members of the governing body of said city to be held at 5:30 p.m. on Tuesday, August 30th, 2016, in the council chambers at City Hall for the following purpose. With regards to 7th Street corridor access requested by Union Pacific Distribution Services.
All right, the first order of business, what we're going to do is have Doug Graham with the Union.
You're not coming out of the speakers at all.
You do this, don't you? It's right now.
Okay, so the first order of business, can you hear it now?
Yes.
Okay, the first order of business is we are going to go over the memorandum of understanding that Union Pacific Distribution Services has presented to the city, the draft that they have prepared for us to review, and at this time Doug will go over it. Where's Doug?
Hi. Good evening. My name is Doug Graham. I'm with Union Pacific Distribution Services. We're a wholly owned subsidiary of Union Pacific Railroad, and we are asking, and I'm going to go through this, that the City of Marysville allow us to use the 7th Street corridor for the next 4 years and 3 months, effective October 1st through December 31st of 2020, in order to and to keep the 7th Street corridor in the sense of measurements, and I have some measurements here that I'll go over, and keep those measurements basically at the intersection of Highway 36 and 77 and 7th Street, wide enough for us to allow large wind trucks to go through that corridor. So our plan is that it's all contingent on the vote by the city and the council, the commissioners here, which I think will happen later, is to, not tonight, but to have the corridor remain the same, and then what we will do is we will go to companies that we do business with and present to them the opportunity of building a wind distribution center on the 50 acres of land that is known as the Old Yard, that is up 7th Street. And then we will develop that land with local support from local companies here, build a distribution center, which is basically just a big laydown yard, and we will bring wind components in either by rail or by truck, and wind components will go out by either rail or by truck. And those components will come in, and we just need to make sure that 7th Street at the intersection, that we get a 70-foot wide, as it is today, 70-foot wide by 200 feet long, or going north, due north, section of road, that stays intact in the sense of the measurements. Things can change about what it looks like and things like that. And then obviously, and that goes up to the alleyway, and then from the alleyway to Carolina Street, that would be about a 35-foot wide corridor that would go through there, as well as from Carolina Street to Calhoun Street would also be 35 feet wide. And our ask is that we would also improve this street by doing some grading and adding asphalt grindings down, and improve other areas associated with it, which are located in the MOU, that are outlined in the MOU. And then in return for that, I mean, we will maintain the property. We would also work with making sure that the bike trail that would be on the east side of the road, and I heard that there was some new ideas for the bike trail today, that could be part of this, and that's between Highway 36 and Carolina Street, so that we can work with that. We also were asking for no parking to be on that east side of 7th Street, but that can be amended to be maybe no parking at certain times during projects when we have a lot of truck activity, but we would be willing to work with that. We met with some of the local folks today and talked about communicating when we have this truck activity going in and out, that we would provide them with email communication about what we know. Most of the time we know when the trucks are coming out of the Wynn Distribution Center, which would be, that's something we'll know because we'll be putting the components on the trucks and they'll be leaving. It's when trucks come in that are loaded that we don't always get all the information that we need about that. But again, if the new idea for the bike trail is to just stripe the bike trail on the east side, then there wouldn't be any parking anyway. And so that's something that we wanted to talk about there. Also, we would, we're offering to obviously maintain the property for the next 4.5 years. Obviously, controlled dust is a big thing. We are also put up signage and have signage put up on Carolina Street, east and west, and stop signs, and then the same thing on Calhoun Street, as well as out on Center Street. We would put signage up talking about the overdimensional trucks going in and out. Any stop signs that would need it, any barricades that we need to put up to section off the property, we would provide those type of things. We would also, as part of the depot project, is we offered to, we'll have some large cranes back in the distribution center where you could bring those cranes up and pick up the caboose and move it from the west side of the 7th Street corridor over to the east side next to the station, and put that over there for you, and that's outlined in the MOU. And so that's our ask, is that we basically just for the next 4.5 years just have access to this public road anyway, but keep it the same so that we can get these big trucks in and out to make the turns onto Highway 3677, either inbound or outbound.
Okay, did everyone have a chance to read this? And do you guys have any specific question for Doug? We're going to go to public comments later, but if there's a specific question about the MOU, you can present that at this time. Or do you want to wait to hear what the public...
Questions or concerns?
Well, concerns you might want to wait to hear what the public has to say. Okay. Questions specifically about if you don't understand something printed, you could go ahead and ask at this time.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 7, first page. The city will not sell any adjoining property without first refusal rights from the UPS and Marshall County Partnership for Growth in order to keep property open for future transload and UPDS business. I don't really understand why that's necessary. There are people along the right-of-way that have wanted to expand their business and had spoken to us before about some of this property. So why would it be necessary? Why wouldn't they have first right of refusal?
Well, as long as the measurements stay the same through the corridor, all sales, you can do whatever you want to with all the sales. I mean, this could be struck from the.
Okay, I would like that.
Yeah, we can struck that.
Okay, so you just want to make sure that you have at least a 35-foot corridor throughout. And the adjoining businesses, if they want to purchase that land, we can go ahead and do that separately from this transaction.
Oh, of course, yeah, it's your land, it's your property, please sell it. If that makes sense for the city and the community. Yes, we're not trying to prevent that, we just need to have that corridor through, and I think the land that you're probably talking about is more between Carolina Street and Calhoun Street, that property to the west, where, I'm sorry, I don't know the lumber company's name.
Cromie's.
Yeah, they purchased that part, and then there's some parts north of that that would be perfect for sale, and then I think there's a lot there where the caboose is, so moving that caboose off might make that lot more
Right.
Attractive to him.
attractive, maybe not, depends on if you get a railroad guy, he might want it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Doug, are you aware that Marshall County Partnership for Growth is not an entity of the city? It's a private group.
Yes, I was aware of that, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right. Yes,
So,
Brad.
we talked a bit about this when you were here the last time, but maybe it would be worth repeating what you feel like is the economic development to the community from others may speak up to their point of view, but I'm just curious to have you repeat that.
Yes, that's great. Thank you very much for bringing that up. So, Union Pacific Distribution Services has 44 of these wind distribution centers located throughout U.S. and Canada. And we go into the community, and before we go in and build one of these facilities, and we're building them usually near a future wind farm, we go into the communities and do exactly what we're talking about here, is talking to you guys and making sure that people are aware of what we're trying to do. So what is the what's the benefit? So we're going to bring in people that run the cranes and the rigging people, and we're going to bring in management people. And those people will be here during the wind projects, and they're going to live in your community, and they're going to rent houses or rent hotels, and they're going to go to the restaurants, and they're going to bowl and fish and whatever, right? So they're going to be part of the community, and they're going to be here for a while. And on this project, we think that there'll be groups of people in and out over the next 4 years, because we're going to be loading these components in and out as we move forward. So that's why we need the 4-year plan, is that we know that we're going to have components here for probably that time frame. And so these folks will come in and they will live. Then the trucking groups, the groups that either bring the wind components in or take the wind components out, many times live in this community as well, or at least stay in this community, and they're going to need to eat and buy gas and bowl and fish and stay in hotels and do all that type of stuff. So you're going to get growth that way, and you're going to get commerce that way. You're going to increase the flow of people in and out of Marysville. So it's going to bring you money that way, and we've proven it in every community. I mean, there are communities that when we come in. And size of this community, they can feel the presence of the wind distribution center being there, and the amount of commerce that happens, and so it's good that way. So, and they're usually good citizens, and they respect your town, and they'll take care of it, and we'll make sure. And if they don't, you let us know, and we'll get rid of them. So,
Doug, are these people contractors to you, or are they employees of UP?
Most of them are contractors to either UPDS, or they're contractors to our customers. So the trucking companies are usually contracted by the wind manufacturing companies that we work for. So the GEs or the Vestas and stuff like that, and they're subcontractors of theirs. So they're subcontracted companies, but not all by UPDS. Does that answer your question?
And they're like here for the whole 4 years? They're in and out, or they just do their job of maybe clearing that 50 acres back there, making that ready, and then they're gone, and then more people come in? Are there going to be permanent people in here working for the 4 years and 3 months?
I'm going to tell you that there's going to be, I think there'll be people here off and on, not the whole time. I can't predict the future. I wish I could, because we'd all go to the lottery, right? But the deal is that what we feel like is going to happen is that we have customers that want a laydown yard. They want a 40-acre laydown yard. Now, the company that we're going to have develop the yard is a local company here in town. So that'll be local folks that we will be employing through a general contractor that will come in and move. There's a lot of rock we got to move. We got to do some grading. We got to get it all smooth and make it nice and pretty and do all that type of stuff. And there'll also be the people that will help maintain the corridor for us. And, you know, we've already got, we already know people that have the asphalt grindings, can bring it in tomorrow and start laying those down. So we're ready to go with that. So those people will be local. So that's, we like to buy locally, right? And then the truckers and those people, depending on the projects or the timing of the movements, you're going to see them come into town for months, and then you might not see them for a few months, and then you might see them again, or you might see different levels where there's a lot of them at one time and then maybe just a few. So it's going to vary, and I can't answer that question. I wish I could. I wish I could tell you what it's going to look like. When it's a project, when we do a wind project, so say one of these developers out west of here decides to build a 100 turbine project, and one of our customers is going to provide those turbines for that 100 turbine project, and they're going to use the Marysville Distribution Center. We can give you all the details associated with that. We can tell you how many trucks, how many escort vehicles, we can tell you who they are, what the companies are, we can tell you everything about, we can tell you the time frame, we can give you all that information. But in this situation that we're in, where we're taking components and storing them for a while, and they may go out over a period of time, I just don't have enough information for you. I'm sorry. I wish I did. But when we bring wind projects in, you're going to know. I mean, everybody's going to know. We're going to make sure, you know, the police chief knows, and everybody knows, so that the community is aware of it. And then we talk to the local businesses that are around 7th Street there, and we said we would tie them in through email communication and let them know what we're doing, so that they can be prepared for the volume of traffic that might be coming through and that type of thing.
I did speak with the city of Liberal. They have a distribution center there, and they said that Doug and his group was very good about communicating when the trucks were going out, that they were very happy with that service. So.
Well, what you're talking about is one block from the 8th Street four-way lights. And usually these, what I have observed, these come in caravans. There'll be one after the other, after the other, after the other. Do you have any way of kind of giving us a heads up in case we need to bring an officer or someone to help direct the traffic at that intersection? Because it is going to be a problem with that light, and it's going to be a problem when our largest manufacturing company lets out at the ends and beginnings of their shifts. So I'm just wondering if it should happen to be at that time, if there's any way you can kind of give us a heads up so that we could have somebody direct those so they don't tie the light up several times through, because a manufacturing company has like a half-hour lunch hour, and those people like to get where they're going to get to their lunches rather than sit through a light 2 and 3 times while these trucks are turning that corner to get onto the 7th Street corridor. So
we'll do our best to try to provide as much information as we can to the chief of police and the police department. Again, we really have good information about when they're coming out of the distribution center and either going east or west on Center Street.
That's half of it.
That's half of it. So it's the inbound that we have some great customers that tell us a lot of things and give us a lot of good information. We have some customers that are not so good at that. And so, you know, just laying it out for you, I can't predict and tell you that we're going to know all of that. But we'll try to. We can tell you pockets or months or time frames that we know we're going to have a lot of inbound traffic and a lot of outbound traffic. Again, the outbound is easy, the inbound's hard. So we can give you that, but giving you the time of day that they're going to be here at this intersection, it's going to be difficult to do. But we'll give the chief and as many people as we can as much information, and you know, you can surely be part of those emails if you'd like to. So.
Thank you.
I had a question. As far as ongoing maintenance of the asphalt millings, I mean, if it needs regraded occasionally, snow clearing, that sort of thing, would the city be expected to grade it on some regular basis or clear the snow, or would that be all taken care of through UPDS?
So snow removal, you know, I think we need to talk about how we go about that, because I mean, it is a public road. But when it comes to the maintenance of the facility, the asphalt grindings, that would be all on us.
Okay.
There's nothing from the city. The snow, that's a little...
Currently, the city piles of snow down there in that area, so snow removal hasn't been an issue up till now.
As long as the 35-foot thing is wide enough, how'd you pile on both sides?
We might have to find new
It goes
areas.
Yes, I
either
think
way.
that'll happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think we can work on something there, sure.
Okay, and just so the council knows, the city attorney's recommendation is for us to get information today, not to agree to anything. This is our first shot at it. So Doug's presenting the information. We will have residents give their comments, and then we will meet again and start making revisions to this. Okay. So
Does
yeah.
the city attorney want to discuss anything specific in this, either in open session or if called for in?
Not at this moment.
Okay.
Not today.
All right. Yes.
So I know you can't predict this, but it's just extension of what we talked about is how many trucks, if you had to give a range over the next 4 years, how many extra trucks will we be? Because I know you have to have you have a plan and you know how many trucks is how many loads is going to make this worthwhile for you. So
yeah, we're not really, we're not judging it by, trucks in and trucks out or that. We know that the facility can hold somewhere, depending on the manufacturer, can hold anywhere from about 100 turbines to 200 turbines. And the reason why there's such a difference is some of the manufacturers lay the blade on the side and some stand them up. And some of them are stackable and some are not. And so the blade takes up a lot of space. So the amount of trucks, I would say the maximum amount of trucks that you would ever see in one given day would probably be something less than 30 in one given day. But I think what you would see is, again, on an outbound type of thing, is usually it's about 16 trucks a day out. And so if they're coming back from a project, they'll come back empty. Of course, they're much shorter and collapsed, and 16 back in. So, 16 to 24 is probably a number that is probably really what we're looking at during these maximum periods of time. But there'll be time where there's no truck activity. I mean, it'll be none at all. So.
All right. Are you guys done with Doug? All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Grooms.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So now we will move to the public comment section. What we're going to do is each one is allowed to share for 8 minutes. For each group, we want one representative per group. Debbie's going to keep kind of track of the time. And so give your name, your address, a group you're representing, and your ward if you live in Marysville. And then after you share for 8 minutes, then the council will have up to 5 minutes to readdress, to ask you questions. And again, you will ask for the floor, council, so we keep one conversation at a time. All right, so moving on to public comments. With that in mind, who would like to give some comments about this project?
I will.
All right. You're first up.
break the ice.
All right. Randy Brown, I'm representing the Blue River Rail Trail. And so speaking on behalf of the board for the trail. And I would like to kind of address to the city and the Partnership for Growth for a minute about what we feel as a trail board is the positive economic and social impact of the trail, because we think that's pertinent to kind of the conclusion of my comments. I think the economic and social impact of the trail is difficult to quantitate, just as is the economic impact of the UPDS project. It's difficult to quantitate, but we feel strongly that it's a real positive economic impact on the community. I think a couple examples are just like Sarah's recent section in the Marysville paper of the young people coming to town and why they wanted to live in town, and some who are represented here today, you know, over half of them mentioned the trail as part of the reason they wanted to be here. I think it attracts people to our city. I think it's an important part of tourism, and I think I would like to give one example of how I feel that way. In fact, you know, it's in the new stages of the trail, because just in the last year we've completed the trail to the state line. The state line has been connected all the way to Lincoln, Nebraska. So there's a group of people that really like this crazy long distance biking, running stuff. And I actually had a conversation with a lady from Lincoln this weekend who is planning a relay run in May of next year that will start in Lincoln and end in Marysville. It will have teams of 4 to 6, and they run like 15 miles a leg, and they have a big event when they finish here in Marysville. And I said, how many? She was asking permission to use the facility, and I said, how many? And she said, we'll probably cap it at 100 teams. So she was anticipating, and obviously this is not cast in stone, but she was anticipating with them and their support crew that on that particular weekend there might be 700 to 1,000 people at the trailhead. They wanted to have, you know, food trucks, an event, you know. So I feel that the economic impact of the trail for the community and the city is going to be real. And I think that's important because we need to get it into town. It'll do a whole lot more for this town if that, whatever it is, 250 or 1,000 people end up at the city park as opposed to a mile north of town. And it would be our goal for that to happen. It has been for a long time, and we have been trying to negotiate with the Union Pacific Railroad for over 5 years now to get one little strip of land between 7th Street and the southern edge of our property and where our current trailerhead is, so that we can connect it. And that's been our hang-up. That's the reason we don't have this trail into town. So our long-term vision as a trail board was kind of a nice green space, you know, the couple blocks south of Highway 36 like we have north of Highway 36, particularly maybe in front of the depot, and the trail would run through there, and that would be, you know, kind of where people would finish up. This is going to be the end of, like I said, the end of a trail that a lot of fairly populated area is going to be coming to. We realize that's a long-term vision, and I guess that, you know, that isn't going to happen if we do this UP project, and the UP project is proposed. I think the contract proposal was to end in December of 2020, and I guess the trail board would hope that that end date as a possibility remains in effect, so that down the road in the future possibly that development of that as a nice green space would be a potential reality. On the short term, however, you know, as we look into working together with the UP on this project, the trail board requests a 14-foot wide strip connecting down the east side of this 7th Street corridor. That is our understanding of kind of what we need for a variety of reasons, and so that's kind of what we're requesting in order that the trail can connect in. The other thing that we would like to request of the Union Pacific persons is our proposal that in return for, working together with them in goodwill on this project, that they would consider the same for the trail and concede the little strip of land along the west edge of their property between 7th Street and the south edge of our property that's wide enough for us to put a trail there. This strip of land has been surveyed. It constitutes 9 acres of property, and we are there and ready to develop it. We've proved that we can develop a trail. We have done it. We have a great trail, and I would just like to present our hope that the Union Pacific would be willing to work with us and the concession of that strip of land to us that would help, I believe, our city for the reasons that I raised, by allowing us to connect the trail into town. That's the end of my comments.
Is that it?
Yes. Did I make 8 minutes?
Perfect. Perfect, 7.5, so you did very good. So would anyone like to readdress Dr. Brown? Any questions for him?
I would just think that this is something that we need to address to the UP. Is this the time to ask them for it? I mean, it's for them to concede.
They're not a part of this. They're UPDS.
That's Union Pacific land, and we're dealing with Union Pacific Distribution Services.
Okay, so what he has to say, is it pertinent here? Is that what you're saying?
Well, we can.
I could be corrected if wrong, but I believe UPDS is a wholly owned subsidiary of UP, so it's not like they're completely different. I don't know what their rental.
It's not a contract.
I don't know if UPDS is leasing the land from Union Pacific or that contractual arrangement, but they're not completely disassociated organizations.
I was just thinking if they're asking something of us, maybe this would be the time to ask something of them.
Vicki, he cannot answer that question.
I have a question.
Yes.
The 14 feet for the time being you would like maintained as a width. Is that from Carolina to Calhoun, or is that center to Calhoun, or is that center to Carolina you're primarily concerned with? Center to Carolina being along Enans and Schrollers.
Correct, and then it would connect into
the platform.
To the brick platform in front of the UP, yeah.
And currently there's I believe a 5-foot sidewalk there and a curb and a little bit of pavement.
Right.
Would you be looking for 14 feet, like a 14-foot sidewalk? I'm asking if you are looking for improvements to the current, or just, or I guess more specifically.
I thought Doug addressed.
You talked about striping the pavement.
Striping the pavement. You want something above and beyond that?
You want more than pavement, the current pavement striped in the short term? That's the way to phrase it.
That's a good short term. More than the striping of that, is that what you desire?
I think we have not, we need to, I don't know, Carl, I don't know if I have a definitive answer for that. We need that. We need to be able to have that wide of a strip of property to put a trail in.
Well, can I ask you the question?
Anything has to be done immediately. It's much more pertinent to us as a trail to get the land north so we even have the ability connected into town. Right now, we can't even connect it into town. We haven't been able to get Union Pacific to cooperate with us to even connect it into town. So once we get that, then we can finish the in-town section. So,
Mayor, do we have a proposed map of the trail? I've not seen anything.
Down the truck.
Excuse me?
And put it down the truck. I do love make copies. Oh, he's got more copies.
There's a color one. We got some other ones.
Here, let me take that one. Yeah, that big one. I know.
But that doesn't show connecting to...
That does just
right there. Oh, you want to see the whole trail? or-
Yes.
Oh,
She wanted that piece that went up
It's in the
by the...
brochure.
Where it connects to Jayhawk Road.
Yeah, this is
Well, from what I understand, is that for dedication of land? He's saying, we need this, set it aside for us, that's what I'm doing.
Thanks, Maureen. You can kind of lay that out. Here's what these here.
Doug, to readdress this question, you are not in a position to make any commitments on behalf of UP regarding that land, is that correct?
Oh, yeah, that's exactly right. I was going to address a couple of things.
Here's North Street.
Okay.
What is, can I get a copy of that too? Thank you very much. So we are, UPDS will be leasing the land from Union Pacific Railroad, and it is leased at the market value, so it's not a special deal or anything like that, okay? So we are a wholly owned subsidiary, but we have no authority on the piece of property that you're looking for that skirts our yard on the east side. I understand what you want. I think today, there was communication today or yesterday from our UP Real Estate Department to you guys about some of it. I think there's room for talking about that more, but that's not part of this deal. But the thing is the 14-foot section between Center Street and Carolina Street. We would even add into the MOU that we would stripe that and put there's a symbol for a bike rider type of thing on the ground, and that's the asphalt side of the street, so it's already asphalted there. So we would stripe that and put those symbols in so the bikers would know that that's part of the trail. Obviously, part from Carolina Street to Calhoun Street, that's between the city and the depot group, and UP has nothing to do with that part. So we're not involved with that. The part beyond that, I have Lindsay Douglas here with me with Union Pacific, who is our government affairs person who could maybe address that. I know that there's been communication and that our real estate people are talking to your folks about, I think it's Dave Lynn got some information yesterday regarding it. So, but it's not part of this, it's not part of what we're requesting as UPDS in the memo of understanding. Does that make sense?
that makes sense. Yes, that makes sense. I do understand also that you're owned by Union Pacific. So you work with the Union Pacific. So you, for example, work with Mr. Harris.
Mr. Harris? Well, I know who he is, but I don't really work with him directly.
I believe Todd has a question for you, Doug.
So I guess a question would be, would your parent company look kindly on their negotiations if we're giving a lot of consideration and working well with their organization, UPDS? I mean, would it look good to UP that, well, the city, they really worked with our lessee, maybe we should, work with them a little bit better? I mean, is that something that you think could theoretically be the case?
Theoretically, yes. And I think that will probably happen, but it's not tied to the MOU. And it's not, they're two different related things, and I'm sorry, I wish I had the power to grant you what you want, but I don't, and I'm not going to. But they are two different things, so.
Okay.
I guess I think it's maybe a little bit of reiteration, but I think what Todd is suggesting was our hope that we haven't had good luck with this over many years, and obviously this is something that UP's hoping for, our cooperation on a short period of time and fixing it in a few weeks, and it would be nice if it went both ways.
Okay, are we all done?
Well, as far as the striping, does that sound like something sufficient possibly as a short-term solution?
I think the answer to that is yes, as a short-term solution. I'm not speaking, that'd be speaking for myself.
For yourself?
Yes. I know that the board we know that, but we understand that, as I stated, it's until we get that, until we can connect it, We didn't get to be used a whole lot until it's connected anyway.
Right.
Yeah. Be used a lot once we get it connected, if we can get some cooperation on the connection. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Who else would like to share a public comment?
I have one comment.
Okay.
I'm Terry Hughes. I'm kind of curious. I know that you guys received something yesterday to study. But I come down to get a copy of it because I heard it on the radio this morning, but it's not public information that you guys are doing something without the public knowing, even though you said it was going to be a referendum and what they were going to do, railroad was going to do, but it's not for these people sitting here in the audience to see. I couldn't get a copy of it today from Debbie. I want to know why.
Craig, you want to?
Yeah, I could speak to that. At the time of the request, the city didn't believe it was an open record. At this point in time, the memorandum of understanding, the draft of that memorandum of understanding, that status has changed. It's specific statutory language that changed it. I believe that statute was provided to, I don't know if it was you, Mr. Hughes, or somebody else. I wasn't aware of that name, but
I was refused it today.
Okay, well, whoever it was, or at least a person that requested it earlier today before this meeting convened, it was denied, and that statute under which an exemption under the Open Records Act was provided to that, whoever that person was. Apparently it wasn't you.
Well, what is that statute that says that you guys can withhold this when it is a public record?
Our position is it wasn't a public record before this meeting, before it was referenced at an open meeting. Up until this meeting, it wasn't referenced or put on an agenda, that particular document. That's obviously...
It's out in the open now, right?
It's changed now, correct.
Where is it? Why can't we see it here in the audience?
I don't think there's any reason you can't see it other than making copies.
I think everybody in the audience would like to have a copy of it. It shouldn't be a secret.
To clarify, it's marked in draft, it's not a final document, and that's what we're getting at.
Pardon?
It's a draft. That means it's not a final document. Anybody else want a copy?
Oh, is that block out there on the island just out there? That's not in the original line, turn well back.
Okay. Thank you, Austin. All right. Any further comments? Okay.
I didn't see anybody else jumping up, so I guess I will.
I know, we could close it.
You bet. Hey, I'm Bruce DeErking with the Historic Union Pacific Preservation Society. For better or worse, we own the old depot and the lots between Hendricks Avenue, 7th Street, from Carolina to Calhoun. And I guess if there's credit, we'll take credit for pushing this acquisition of the property through over a 1.5 years time. If there's blame, we don't take that. But I think it's a foresight of the City Council, and many or most of you were part of that negotiation process that had the foresight to say, yes, this is a large piece of the center of our community that can be a lot more than it was as a vacant lot after the Union Pacific moved out in 2008, 2009. Just a quick update. We did receive approval for the Kansas Historic Register for the depot just 2 weeks ago, and that qualifies us for nomination for the National Register of Historic Places for the depot, and we expect that'll be finalized within the next month. So really exciting news on our part for the depot itself. Our group met as recently as last night. Ellen Barber with the Partnership for Growth was kind enough to come forward, and we had a couple of the Blue River Rail Trail members that sat in with us. It was just kind of a fact-finding mission, I guess, and make sure that we're all on the same page. And it would appear that from what we've seen and what we've been told, that this can certainly work for us as the depot group. The one ask that kind of came a little bit faster than we anticipated, when we purchased the lots between Hendricks and 7th Street, they were on the lot lines. And that lot line, after we discovered under the asphalt that wonderful brick platform that runs from Carolina to Calhoun, the lot line is right in the middle of that brick platform. And I've spoken to a few of you informally, and I've spoken to the city administrator about our desire to correct that and acquire title for. Rob Peschel has looked at it. He did the original survey with the CES group, and he said probably 14 feet would give you the rest of that platform and 2 or 3 feet that you could use as drainage in that buffer zone. If you're familiar, there's a step-up curb right beside that 12-foot platform. So that's something kind of in the works, but we hadn't gotten that far yet. That said, we'd like that consideration, and if the numbers are here that I'm seeing, it's not a problem. The 70-foot clearance on the width was up to Carolina Street, and that's where our interest begins. And then it was a 35-foot width from that point forward. So us acquiring additional footage, if we will, for that brick platform doesn't appear to be a problem. Our group meeting last night, I think, was in consensus that we're not at all against the project. Economic development is good for the community, and we think that anything to further to the development of this area in a positive way is a win-win for the community. So that said, the caboose kind of came as a surprise. We weren't ready for that one just yet, although I think in the larger vision it was always, let's get the steam engine and the caboose back home where they belong. But that steam engine might be a taller challenge. I won't go into that. We did talk about our considered location for the caboose. We felt like maybe on the north side of the depot. The south side, you lose some line of sight from the highway, and we kind of like to develop that as the showcase that it was originally, and that was with a green space with landscaping and such. But on the north side, we should have adequate room for the caboose, and if the steam engine ever wanted to join it, there should be room at that point as well.
You can leave a space for it.
Yeah. So our ask, I guess, of the Union Pacific, a generous offer to move the caboose. We could probably use some help with some site leveling and perhaps landscaping up on that north end to just plunk it down where it's at. May not be appropriate, but just some help with the existing concrete pad. I don't know what the grade issues would be, but not significant, I would assume. But more or less granting you an okay to move the caboose, and we could work those details out later.
In the memorandum of understanding, it says on a new rail bed, it has to go on rails, Doug? The caboose has to go on rails?
Well, I don't know, call me crazy, but I haven't seen one for
So,
I think that's the way it was always
so the plan was to have rails?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there would need to be ties and rail put down. I don't think you need to put ballast, but if you wanted to put ballast, just
But it'd look nice to do it right, and maybe have some help with that. We don't have the funding or the means to take on a caboose. And
I just want
pop up a
to
building.
make sure you knew the rails were necessary.
Sure.
Yes.
It's current.
I'm sorry, what, Doug?
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, in the memorandum, we talk about that part of it. We were not planning on doing that. I mean, our plan was to lift and place, and that was really all we were offering in the deal. You know, the prepping of the area and stuff like that, landscaping, that was not part of our offer in this memorandum. So.
And I guess we'd have to meet further to say, do we just want you to plop it down there? I think that's going to be a problem for everyone involved, and we just don't have the resources at
I mean,
present.
another alternative is if you just want them to move it in, or east, so those two other lots are possibly saleable. And, I mean, it's a different option. I'm just throwing that out to you.
Yeah, and I think we're open to conversations with the city
Yeah,
council as
and it
far
doesn't
as,
have, I mean, that was just
future
something that
agreements.
I knew it was kind of tucked back there, nobody sees. You hate to have it just sit there, so.
And it seems an appropriate time, especially with the generous offer.
And they're going to be here for 4 years, so it's not.
Yeah, we have a
something we're
4-year
gonna have to
time frame
cram
here.
Right at the beginning of it to get it moved, I mean.
No, when we move in the big cranes and stuff, and when we get, you know, in the memorandum, it's outlined as a one-day project. We walk our big cranes down and pick the caboose up and walk it over and place it, not flop it. We'll place it at. And then, you know, and we'll need to put it on some rails. So we can talk further about that separately. That will not be part of the memorandum.
As far as the rails, it's on rails and ties now. I don't know if those are the same ones they moved from down here. Can you move the existing, I mean, does it need to be ties laid down, rail, or can you move that as a unit?
No, you can't pick up the rails and the caboose all at the same time.
No, but I mean, like, could you pick the caboose up and move the rails and ties together over as a platform, or will that just completely, I don't know what condition it's in?
Yeah, I would... Not
recommended?
I would tell you, we're going to pick up the caboose, and we'll see what's under there. We can take a look at it beforehand, but, you know, I'm going to tell you that it's probably not going to be very salvageable. The rail would be salvageable.
Right.
So you could pick up the rail. So you could pick it up, unspike it, and take the rails over. We would do that part. But, you know, putting down new ties and putting it down, I mean, we can do that part. We would move. Our job was moving. This was just a moving. We're not setting up the house. We're just, moving. Right?
Moving the house.
So,
Bruce,
that was our office.
here's a copy of the memorandum that talks about it in case, for later, if you want to get it.
And I guess just a clarification while I've got you, then you've given 1 day. You'll have it done in 1 day. I would rather see the wording, will complete the job. Takes you an hour, takes you a day or 2 days.
No.
We don't want to get the bill for the second day.
We're not going to start and then just drop it in the
And that might be a better clarification to say we'll complete the job of moving the caboose, however long it takes y'all.
Yeah.
We can amend the agreement to say that we will complete the job.
That's a good idea.
And I guess really it's largely up to the city council. It's city property, I believe, the caboose
Yes,
itself.
the cabooses.
So something we all need to work out. Don't go back and say, Bruce said we could do this. But I think we have at least a consensus going forward that we'd certainly work with you. But obviously our limited resources are dedicated to the building itself, and to come up with even a couple $1,000s to do some site improvement for a caboose is a large undertaking for us that I'm not sure we're ready to handle.
Okay.
What else did I forget? Oh, we've talked to the Trails Group, and I think they're open to using that platform as their connection link for that block from Calhoun to Carolina. It's the 10, 12-foot width, and with just a little bit of retweaking to bring it up to standards that was put there in 1929, she's held it pretty good, and we're completely willing to work with them. So.
Okay, do you guys have any questions for Bruce? All right, well, thank you so much.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thanks, Bruce.
Anyone else? Is Kevin Cromie here? Kevin, you want to come to the podium for a minute? You addressed some concerns today. Did Doug answer those concerns regarding the purchase of this property?
It was discussed that, I guess, Article 7 was going to be stricken or amended or whatever. That was my only concern, was that, that property on the west side was tied up, and that,
You want to go ahead and explain it to the council, your concern was, or what?
Yeah, I just had the concern that, the property on the west side of the corridor was tied up in that acquisition or that lease of the property. The way it was stated in Article 7, I believe, it just said that any adjacent property to the 7th Street corridor had the
right of first refusal
to the UP. And last year we had purchased 2 lots from the city, and then we had addressed interest to the 2.5 or 3 lots to the north, and it was kind of pending the removal of the caboose, that those lots would be available for sale. So we were just concerned that right of refusal put us at second place on that property.
And he was just feeling like for his business to expand, that's the property he would need. So I think that Doug kind of was okay with picking that up.
I think it sounded like they were fine with that property still being available.
Okay, I just want to make sure your concerns were addressed.
Yep, and I appreciate that. And if I ruffle any feathers by my opinion, I apologize.
No. Just to clarify, I think that's what this forum is for, clarification.
Yep, I understand.
Okay, thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
Okay, is there anyone else that would like to share? Okay. All right. I guess the only thing that Austin and I discussed is a potential maintenance fee.
I think that could be, I think that can be held for later discussion.
Oh, for a later discussion?
Yeah, as discussion with either Doug or finalizing this.
Next meeting?
Yeah, I think rather than opening up a can of worms tonight, I think we can all take what we've heard into consideration and plan our next meeting to talk about this.
Okay. So, Ellen, you don't want to talk? I kept waiting for you to come to the podium.
I just want to mention that my position is more to represent the community. I would prefer the liaison be understood that it needs to go to the attorney, to the city administrator, and to Carla in that capacity. I just want to state that Partnership for Growth has had an interest in this due to the transload, of course, with that idea. And then, as I've been talking to the community members, especially with the trail and the depot, the idea is that they are businesses too. They see that there's great economic development for this city through the trail and through the depot becoming a museum or a community center or somewhere where people who come through the trail can end up being a part of that as well. And so we just want to protect the interests of everyone. I definitely want this project to come in. I think it's a wonderful project. I want to see the storage unit here. I want to see the transload here. I also want to protect our other businesses. And that includes the trail, that includes the depot, that includes the transload idea. So I think that if we all work together, that's very possible. I know that UPDS is on a timeline. They say that they have a couple of customers ready to come in right away, and so they really want us to push this. And so I would say if there's some discussion that needs to be done with these community groups like the trail and the depot, that if you think that it's a good idea that they get together so they can present something to you that you have in writing that they need, that they can get it to you by this next meeting so we don't hold up UPDS, I would recommend that would be a good idea, that we get that in writing to you so that you're very clear on what everybody needs. If you want me to facilitate that, I can. It's up to you. But I would just say that we need to honor their timeline, but we also need to honor these groups that are also a business.
Well, I believe each of those groups voiced their concerns and their desires, so I think we're okay.
Right. I just think they need to get what they need to you in writing. I think that would probably be a good idea.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you all for sharing your concerns. I was thinking we would have a special meeting on Thursday night. It gives us 2 days to think about everything that's been shared, how we want to revise the MOU, present it back to Doug. All right, make revisions to it on Thursday night. Are you guys game for that?
I won't be able to be here Thursday night, but if I could throw out just a couple things I think maybe we should keep in mind, can I do that? I mean, not something I want to open a can of worms.
Let me make sure we're going to have a quorum on Thursday night. That's a no?
Yeah.
Darlene?
Yes.
Yes.
5:30?
5:30, 6, whatever time works.
Okay, that works.
Say
yes.
You could be here, do you know?
Denny?
Yes.
Okay, well, we don't have a quorum without Keith then. All right, so give me another night that I hate to just jump. You want to jump in tomorrow night? It's your call.
Can't tomorrow.
You're just trying to get this done before next Monday's council meeting?
No, we don't have a council meeting next Monday night, but we wanted to get it back to UP.
How about Friday?
Says our out-of-town administrator, like, is Friday okay? You could do Friday? 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 Yes. Friday? Ah, Friday it is. What time is good for you guys? Early the better, I know for Austin.
Early the better.
How early can you do, Kev?
5.
5? Is 5 work for everybody
Or a
Friday
little
night?
after, I mean.
I would, for
5:30?
public purposes, I would say
Excuse me?
5:30. For public purposes, maybe 5:30, just to give people that they work till 5.
Okay, so we're going to do 5:30 Friday night, the 2nd. And just be prepared to have your revisions. We'll combine them all, see what it looks like, and hopefully get something, a draft back to Doug to present.
Do you want us to continue to send Austin the questions we have, or I know we have already, but...
You mean instead of waiting until Friday to
Yes.
discuss? Well, I think
That would,
We really
what do you
want-
think, what is Friday going to, maybe you clarify, what do you think Friday's going to happen on Friday?
Friday, I think everybody's going to come, make their recommendations, and we're going to come to a consensus on what to present to UP. That's the goal. If you have any questions that aren't very clear, of course, go to Austin.
Yeah.
So we have a quorum, so September 2nd, 5:30. Todd, you won't be there.
It's not impossible. I've got some things out of state, so.
What do you want to share with us?
Well, the only two things, I mean, I know we've probably got away, it was discussed a little bit, but not tonight. One is annexation. I think it had been kind of kicked around whether or not, I'm not saying whether or not it's a good idea, but this is currently outside the city limits. Maybe we want to keep it that way, maybe we don't. But something to think about, I think. There might be advantages to that. Maybe our attorney would know more about disadvantages and advantages of that. The other thing is...
Annexing what? I'm sorry, Todd.
The 50 acres?
Yeah, well, part of the 50 acres, I guess the lower part, according to this map, is in city limits. I think it's just the upper part that isn't.
Oh, just the beginning. Well...
This here?
Yeah, that dotted line is city
Not fall
limits.
down.
So we have, is that Jayhawk Road right across there?
There's Jayhawk.
Oh, okay, so is that North
This is
Street?
North Street.
So everything
So-
north and North Street is out of the
Just-
city limits?
Correct. And they know that too. It was on the maps they provided, but I don't know if that's good or bad, but something to consider. Probably at the same time we're discussing it being developed. The other thing would be our ongoing curb and gutter work. I know that's kind of Kevin's baby. Along Center Street, I know we've discussed trying to get further west, and I don't know if this would be a case where we would just skip a block for a handful of years, or because if it's potentially going to change in 2020, we probably don't
We
want to
still
redo
need
it.
to correct the flow line in there.
Right, so that's kind of, I think we probably have to find a balance.
I think we'll just have your basic entrance till 2020, right? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, well, yeah, because there's a
catch basin.
Catch basin right on the east side. Yeah.
West side.
West side.
What's on the east side? Isn't there? There's an opening there.
There's one on the east side.
Yeah, there's one right by the parking lot.
Okay.
It's right there behind the corner
Yeah.
of the parking lot. I know, because I...
So anyway, I'm just thinking, you know, if we do other curb and gutter work, we'll probably want to consider how that goes in with it. That's all. Those two things kind of crossed my mind as issues we probably should consider at the same
The
time.
curb gutter at the entrance of this.
Correct. And currently, the geometry is not a problem for them turning, but that might be impacted if we did curb and gutter work up to it or whatever. So just something I thought maybe should think about. In case I'm not there on Friday, so that way somebody else knows.
Okay, so we'll have a special meeting on Friday night, have all our revisions, be prepared to come.
I have a question.
Oh, okay, Butch, come on up. You must come to the podium.
I'm not gonna come up, I talk loud. I wanna know.
You have to say who you are.
Okay. I'm Marge Guggenheim, and we have property on 7th Street.
Okay.
And we live between Carolina, our property is between Carolina and North Street.
Yes.
Well, what's gonna happen between there and there? Nobody talks about that. Am I not seeing it, or what?
Doug?
Nothing.
No, that's not in the
That's UP property that the trucks will go in, but they're not gonna be near your house. So
No, but it's ugly there.
It's ugly.
I mean, we look at ugly on that side of 7th Street because railroad owns that, and it's trees and we finally got them to mow it. They don't mow it, and we look at the old tracks and the old train sitting there. We want to know, is that going to stay that way, or, you know? You're going to be driving on the west side.
Yes.
That's not
If you're on 7th Street, it's going to be part of the bike trail thing they're talking about. So if you go north on 7th Street, you can have all the tracks.
It was very nice that you put a street there now. So we're delighted about the street, but we were kind of wondering about the railroad in there, ugly stuff there. Now we're delighted about it.
It's not city, it's railroad.
They need cleaner drainage to check too down there.
Okay. Mayor?
Yes.
Will Craig be joining us Friday?
Craig, are you joining us on
He's
Friday?
gonna check on us.
Okay.
I asked him that question. I'll answer for you. Ask him. I'll answer for you.
We can,
Sorry, Craig.
hopefully, see what we can. This is Friday night, we're going to
I apologize. I'll speak.
All right.
I think that's the idea.
We've lost control. Doug, are you still addressing?
I think I
Okay.
am. So the track, the farthest eastern track, where 7th Street is closest to, that will remain the same. Sorry, ugly trains. I think trains are beautiful.
Well, I don't mind the trains, it's the debris because of the train in our house.
Yeah, well, I think that's kind of part of some of the things that the trail folks are talking about.
Maybe they'll fix it.
We'll see.
Okay. All right, thank you, Doug. Did you have something to share?
Oh, the comment that I made kind of just between us that
I'm sorry, what's your name?
Sorry, Lindsay Douglas. I'm Director of Public Affairs for Union Pacific.
Excuse me, wait. Vicki, she would like you to come to the podium.
Yes, of course. I have a loud voice too. Okay, I'm Lindsay Douglas with Union Pacific, Director of Public Affairs for the state of Kansas. What I had mentioned kind of as a sideline that I don't think everybody could hear is that if we are bringing trains of wind parts in to the yard, then we would be utilizing that track, which right now is being used for storage. We would be bringing that yard into use, and so there may be some improvement just based on the use of the track.
Yeah, what you see. Also, I think if they do the transloading facility, I believe that was the southern point of that as well, right? Ellen, is that true? The potential transloading facility is at the southern edge of the property that UP owns, correct? The potential transload.
I believe that the spur is on that southern end, but I'm not absolutely certain. Yes,
It's on the
okay.
north side of Calhoun.
Thank you.
Okay, so, all right. All right, with that being said, no other public comments, no other comments, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Okay.
Almost. Right. Yeah, it's up there. That's what they use that one.
Yeah, that's what she was saying down there. They'll bring them that far down.
Right. I mean, it's kind of like, we can tell them to encourage it, but he'll make it never going to make it.
Yeah.
That's why I was there last weekend, like you said, so that's why I'm like, I'm trying to keep my
I was sitting there, I thought maybe it was.
Oh, well.
I thought it was state legislature.
recycle.